Stephen Colbert has always been a media darling, but he has reached new heights with his trademark brazen commentary and biting wit. The reactions are pouring in, and no one, fans or critics alike, saw this coming. How and what did he say that has caused such a stir? In the next episode, you'll discover out why Stephen Colbert's most recent shocking revelation has gone viral. The youngest of 11 children, Stephen Tyrone Colbert, came into this world in the nation's capital on May 13, 1964, and spent his formative years in Charleston, South Carolina. When Colbert was 10 years old, his father and two brothers were killed in an airplane crash. This was probably the most formative event in his upbringing. He became more reclusive and found comfort in reading particularly works of fantasy and science fiction by writers like J.R.R. Tolkien. Due to a poorly executed operation on his severely perforated eardrum, Colbert lost hearing in his right ear when he was a little boy. In fact, Colbert seems to revel in a related technique that he performs despite his hearing loss. When he winks, he can tuck his somewhat protruding right ear inside out and pop it back into place. Colbert boasted about his prosthetic ear to David Letterman on The Late Show many years ago, making fun of the fact that it is only a prop. In his teenage years, Colbert started to show signs of his innate talent for acting and comedy. School plays at Episcopal Porter God School in Charleston gave him a platform to express himself creatively. He had intended to major in philosophy at Virginia's Hampton-Sydney College, but he changed his mind and felt that performing was where his heart truly belonged. After coming to this revelation, he decided to switch his major to theater at Northwestern University, where he eventually graduated in 1986. Moving to Chicago after finishing college, Colbert got his start in the industry as a backstage worker with the Second City comedy troupe. Over time, he enrolled in improv workshops and finally became a member of Second City's touring troupe, where he performed all over the nation. He developed a long-lasting creative connection with fellow comedians Paul Dinello and Amy Sedaris, whom he met at this event. Exit 57 was a sketch show they co-created and co-starred in, and Strangers with Candy was a spoof of after-school specials. A 2005 film adaptation was inspired by the latter, which became a beloved cult classic. Before Comedy Central picked up Strangers with Candy in 1997, Colbert became known as a famous conservative correspondent on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. His breakout performance on The Daily Show catapulted him to fame as a comedian, and laying the groundwork for an accomplished television career. The early 2000s saw Colbert's meteoric rise to fame as a stand-up comedian renowned for his scathing deadpan wit. Comedy Central debuted The Colbert Report in the 2005 to 2006 season. Colbert mocked the talk show pundits who dominated the airwaves as a brash, right-wing broadcaster. Among Comedy Central's most popular series, the show quickly rose to the top, attracting more than 1 million viewers every episode during the pilot. Stephen Colbert created the comedic show The Colbert Report. It was more than just a pastime people engaged in serious political and news-related contemplation. Stephen created a fictional conservative newscaster who was excessively confident in his own righteousness. This individual was also known as Stephen Colbert. Although he gave off an air of seriousness, he was actually a hilarious and outrageous spoof of many newscasters. By taking on this persona, Stephen poked fun at politicians and the media. He did this in a way that was both strange and hilarious. The 2006 White House Correspondents Association dinner included Colbert as the featured speaker. 6 months after The Colbert Report premiered, Colbert delivered an obnoxious outburst that divided critics and silenced the audience as President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush stood just feet away. Opinions were mixed. Some thought he was brilliant, while others thought he had gone too far. However, his popularity was only stoked by the controversy. A Comedy Central force, The Colbert Report went on to win multiple Emmys, including Outstanding Variety Series in 2013 and 2014. Colbert was chosen to succeed David Letterman as host of The Late Show in April 2014, following Letterman's announcement that he would be retiring in 2015. Colbert said that his career high point was appearing as a guest on David Letterman's show. Noting that everyone in late-night television looked up to Dave as a leader, He admitted he had never believed he would follow in Letterman's footsteps. Colbert went on to express his joy and gratitude to CBS for casting him in the position, making the light-hearted comment that he should probably go grind a gap in his front teeth. After debuting with Colbert on September 8, 2015, The Late Show took a while to discover its new voice. However, after President Trump started dominating the news cycle, the show's adept hosts at handling politically charged humor propelled it to the top of the ratings. Big Questions with Even Bigger Stars was another recurrent piece that brought Colbert fame. It featured him and his guests staring at the sky while they engaged in ridiculous philosophical speculation. After settling into his role on The Late Show, Colbert discovered a voice that resonated with viewers throughout the globe. His knowledge of and respect for David Letterman's background allowed him to include his own comedic style, which is what keeps late-night television entertaining. After making the adjustment, Colbert entered a new phase of his career in late-night comedy, one in which he deftly combined humorous lines with important discussions. In March 2020, when production on The Late Show was halted due to the COVID-19 epidemic, Colbert became famous for taping monologues from various locations around his house, including his porch and bathtub. With his original contract about to expire at the year's end, Colbert extended his stay with CBS to June 2023, ensuring his continued employment until at least 2026. Disclosure of the agreement's monetary terms was withheld. However, under his prior agreement, Colbert was rumored to have earned roughly $15 million each year. The interesting turns in Colbert's personal life mirror those in his professional life. Following his ex-girlfriend's infamous fish or cut bait ultimatum in 1990, Colbert supposedly went home to think about his future. After he informed his mom about his decision, she gave him some sound advice. It is incorrect if you are unaware. Colbert met his future wife at a Spoleto Festival musical premiere on the same night he had a conversation with his mom. Reports indicate that he will always remember it. Upon entering, my first impression was that one right there when I beheld a woman across the foyer. That was my first thought. That's insane. Stupid, Colbert. I was proven to be correct. That tragic night is also etched in Colbert's mother's memory. He devoted the entire evening to conversing with her. Since 1993, Colbert and his wife Evelyn have been married. Their trio includes Madeline, a daughter, Peter, a son, and John, a daughter, all born between 1995 and 2002. The private life of Colbert appears to be somewhat ordinary, even though he has been famous for decades. Stephen and his loved ones are firmly planted. He is never seen anywhere other than with his family. His priorities have always been those of his family and his neighborhood. Colbert said he was strangely normal, and that he had a wonderful wife in an interview he gave to the New York Times in 2005. He went on to say, "I am big on hugging. We are very silly," after mentioning that he reads to his kids before bed. Reportedly, Colbert and his family attend church every Sunday since he is a fervent Irish Catholic. When time permits, he has even been known to lead Sunday school classes. He has made no secret of the fact that his views color his perspective on a wide range of social and moral issues. Making fun of the world, he does it through his faith. That is the way Colbert usually perceives things. He will be able to conduct meaningful discussions about fairness and compassion because of his amiable and receptive demeanor. On his show, Colbert frequently performs musical numbers. However, you might not be aware that he is also a Broadway performer and Grammy winner. After releasing A Colbert Christmas in 2009, Colbert was honored with a Grammy. He appears to show his dancing and singing chops during the musical holiday program. His friend Stewart joined in on the fun as well, making it a triple threat. Singing harmony on the smash hit Would Hanukkah Be Able to Captivate You? Few are aware of the profound sadness Stephen Colbert has in his heart, despite his fame for comedy and his ability to put smiles on innumerable faces. Your heart will break for the sorrow he endured. On Anderson Cooper's new podcast, Stephen Colbert discussed sadness and loss in a most personal and intimate way, and he revealed the significance of loving what you wish hadn't happened. Paul and Peter, Colbert's two younger brothers, were on a brief flight from Charleston to Charlotte, North Carolina, on September 11, 1974. Flight 212 of Eastern Airlines, which took place aboard a DC-9, was en route to Douglas Municipal Airport, seemingly following a routine, and carried 82 passengers. There was no way for the plane to reach Douglas, an agricultural hillside 3 miles short of its runway of choice. The pilots apparently lost track of the plane's height due to the hazy morning and the recordings taken in the cockpit. However, bad weather was only part of the problem. It was the pilot's lack of focus that was the main issue. The crash was disastrous no matter what caused it. Out of 82 individuals on board, only 13 managed to survive the initial impact. As a result of the accident, 72 lives were lost. Paul, James, and Peter were among those that perished. Over the years, Stephen Colbert made that known. The death of his parents and siblings, he thought, was his code name. He elaborated on his preference for a pseudonym by saying that he felt it better reflected his true identity. He linked the sorrow he felt for his family's terrible loss to this secret moniker, which he said had a mystical effect. Stephen Colbert, who was just 10 years old at the time, had to grow up with his distraught mother after the untimely deaths of his father and siblings. That they were alone for quite some time was something he revealed. But seeing his mother suffer helped him deal with his own loss. Colbert explained that his way of handling immense heartache was to embrace it, he said, attributing his ability to avoid bitterness to her example. The loss of his father and brothers, he said, was like a tremendous explosion, but he had to learn to accept it and even embrace the bomb. While his father and 2 brothers were away, Colbert confessed that he spent a lot of time reading. He confessed to spending all of his allowance on books and reading one every day. He also requested books for every birthday, confirmation, and Christmas. The amount of time Colbert spent with his mother influenced many parts of his later life, including his love of reading. Colbert came to comedy, he said, in an effort to lift his mother's spirits after all she had been through. He admitted that his mother's happiness was the driving force behind his professional pursuits, and he went on to say that he wished he could lift the spirits of a depressed woman. Despite being 10 years old when his father and brothers died, Stephen Colbert needed nearly twice that amount of time before the gravity of their deaths would sink in. He came to terms with the loss while he was a college student, he said. He revealed that he began his freshman year weighing about 185 pounds, but by year's end he had plummeted to 135 pounds, characterizing himself as nothing more than green with melancholy. Colbert speculated that his absence from home may have contributed to the length of time it took him to comprehend the gravity of his loss. He said it hit him like a ton of bricks when he got some alone time to process the reality of their absence. He revealed that, although 48 years seemed like an eternity at the time, in hindsight it was like a blink of an eye. Following some challenging years in school, he discovered that participating in the theater was a truly soothing experience. During this period, Colbert mentioned that he was utilizing Stanislavski and Meissner techniques which allowed him to express his suffering to those around him. He said it was more of a therapeutic activity than an acting one. Although he was hit hard by the belated impact of his father and brother's deaths at the time, he now experiences loss in a completely different way. Grief, he explained later on, is its own entity. It's not like I have it in my system, I'll just have to cope. It exists, and you must learn to accept it. It will be like a wolf barging in your door if you attempt to disregard it. Colbert said that his mother was the one who had the most impact on his outlook on life. He elaborated on how his mother had a significant influence in ensuring that he did not harbor resentment or animosity against his past. Colbert claims that she instilled in him an attitude of gratitude that he can apply to every aspect of life. The comfort God provides, he said, is not a life free of suffering, but rather the realization that suffering may be a blessing, something his mother had helped him grasp. God doesn't actually offer you another option, he reflected. When he had to cope with another devastating loss in his later years, that lesson might have been useful. Lorna Colbert's mother died in 2013 at the age of 92. He had stepped away from the Colbert Report for a while to be by her side during her dying days. In a moving tribute to her, he returned to his show after her funeral but broke character by pausing his portrayal of the outrageous, far-right talk show host he had been playing since The Daily Show. "When you watch my show, if you also like me, that's because of my mom," Colbert said, attributing a lot of his success to his mother. He continued by discussing her background and how it had affected him. He recalled that she had studied acting in her youth and would practice stage falls on the kitchen floor with her children. Her carefree spirit had an impact on his own sense of humor, which he characterized as entertaining. In his last discussion with her, Colbert continued by saying that all she could recall was a bedtime prayer she had said to her siblings when they were little, and that she had overcome the tragedy of losing loved ones. A picture of a young woman tucking her children into bed was her favorite prayer memory. She told us all the way to the end that we were the sun in her life. At the end of his remarks, Colbert mentioned that his mother had always urged him to remain employed. So he went on to the next part of the show. The upside of suffering a loss? During his discussion with Colbert, he questioned rhetorically, "When you understand the pain that other people are going through, you can empathize with them. That enables you to love with a deeper understanding and to comprehend the human condition, should it be so that all humans endure pain." Laughter has been the primary goal of the Colbert Report since its 2005 debut. The cultural impact of Stephen Colbert, in both his extreme conservative persona and his more relaxed self, goes far beyond a few laughs. The importance of satire in modern public debate has been advanced by several comedians. On the other hand, Stephen Colbert was probably among the most crucial. Many distinctive aspects of sarcastic comedy were presented to the public by the Colbert persona. First, and most significantly, Colbert portrayed a hyper-patriot. He and his devoted following, the Colbert Nation, provided a comedic and sophisticated alternative. After that, Colbert was able to warn about the hazards of most punditry's aggressive, bombastic, and polarizing nature by playing the role of a pundit. "A nation where people vote out of fear is not a healthy democracy," Colbert repeatedly warned viewers. This brings us to our third and most important point about his character: the special ways it encouraged analytical thought and lively debate. Exposing logical fallacies has been a hallmark of Colbert's satire. In his regular segment, the word Colbert would read from a script while text bullets appeared on a graphic to his right. This was a prime example of this style of presentation. It critically engaged the audience by making them traverse this knowledge. Recognizing hypocrisy, doublespeak, and puns was essential for the viewer to appreciate the humor. A new wave of comedians and actors have been greatly inspired by Stephen Colbert. He inspires young comedians to tackle sensitive subjects with an approachable blend of humor and political acumen. The way Colbert expertly blends comedy and insight has proven that he can hold an audience's attention while addressing serious topics. Many aspiring comics have been motivated by this idea as they recognize the transformative potential of comedy. Satire is a powerful tool for changing public perception of today's most important social issues because it blends humor with appropriate levels of political savvy and populist zeal.